Hey everybody, it's me, Undead Viking. I want to take a little bit of time out of your day to tell you about this game. It's called Posse Wild West Justice. It's a game that is in Kickstarter right now. It is a fantastic game from Scott Hansen that is... the premise is that they put each person at the table in charge of their own posse, and they have been sworn into duty to try to go ahead and apprehend gangs of deadly desperados, if you will. And the game, you use dice. You're going to get six-sided dice. Whenever I have a game with six-sided dice, I always feel like you have to put that weird pause in there. But anyway, so you get these dice, and you're going to be like kind of placing them, kind of like worker placement, kind of almost, on the different members of the bandits. And then you're going to use those dice to attempt to roll to capture them, to meet the requirements needed to capture those particular bandits. And then if other people are trying for the same bandits, then you're going to have showdowns and fun little escapades, if you will. So the game doesn't, take a super long time. It takes about maybe a half hour. It isn't really truly a filler, though. I feel like there's a lot of game here, and I feel like there's a lot of choices you have to make and a lot of strategy. So it feels like a deeper, quick game, if you will. But let me show you how to play Wild West Posse, or Posse Wild West Justice, I should say. And then we'll come back here and I'll tell you more about the game itself. Alright, this is Posse Wild West Justice. I've gone ahead and set up the game for 4 players. You'll notice that I've only set up like the Posse members for this player, basically me. This is how I'm going to show you how the game is played. But each person, when they play this game, gets 6 dice of their color, and the color has to be different due to the fact that you're going to be placing them on cards, and so you have to designate who is trying to capture that particular member of the posse. So, at the beginning of the game, you will determine the first player by rolling some dice. I've already determined that this is the first player. And you get to draw 3 cards from the posse deck for members of your posse, and you keep 2 of them and get rid of 1. So, in this case, you have, then they all have like a little ability. So, Texas Tom Gun, never give up, add 1 point to 1 roll result during a showdown, or you can discard him to add 2. And I'll show you what a showdown is in a little bit. Just keep that in mind. And then here we have a Heroic Leader. You can discard Brewster to draw up to 4 posse members. So, you could discard that one and to like get new ones if you wanted to. So, they have different abilities and things that just basically break the rules. After everybody's got their 2 posse members, you will turn one of these cards over. This is going to determine the band of bandits that you're looking for. So here's the Black Hills Bandits. They have 6 members of the states. And so you're going to take these cards and you're going to turn them over, and these are the actual bandit that you're going to be trying to apprehend. Now, keep in mind that this is a prototype that I was sent, and so, what you see in front of you is not going to be the final art, though the game obviously is very playable, and I've had a lot of fun playing it anyway, regardless to the art. But I've seen some of the artwork that they're working on, and the game is going to look amazing. So, each card is going to have on it a name of the bandit. This is the Black Widow. A dollar amount. This is worth $100 if you apprehend the Black Widow. It has an ability. A Black Widow cannot be targeted until a player has targeted at least 1 ornery bandit if present. So, like, if that, obviously just something there that kind of changes the rules. In order to capture it, you have to roll dice, get 3 dice that have an even side on them. And so you have to, pull that off. So, I don't see that we have an ornery bandit, so that power is going to come into play. Some cards, like Killer Kate Knox, capturing player must discard 1 posse member, ignore the discard bonus if you capture them, but it's 3 of a kind. You need 3 1s, 3 2s, 3 3s, and so on and so forth. Some of them will just have a number on the bottom, like so. And then you have to roll higher than that on your dice to capture them. And some of them will have a specific die result down here, and you have to roll those die results to capture them. So after you've set up the bandits that you have to capture, each person then will take a die, starting with the first player. Well, I should say there's a recruitment phase. I apologize. The first player gets a bonus of being able to draw 2 cards off the posse deck. And then look at what they are. So we have Captain John Pritchard. Discard Captain Pritchard to prevent 1 forced discard this turn. Well, that would work really well with the Black Widow there. Or we have Manuel the Artist. and Manual the Artist says that player may roll 1 die in escape phase, discard to roll 1 die for each escaping outlaw. And I'll explain the escape phase in a little bit. And that's actually a pretty good ability, so I'm just going to go ahead and take that one and to put that aside. Now, every other player just draws a card at the top of the posse deck and gets to add that to the posse. You can only ever have 4 members in your posse. If you ever draw a card for a posse or have 4 members, you have to either discard the card you drew or replace a card that is in front of you with that new card that you just drew. Pretty straightforward. So, and the first player marker will change after each round. So, you'll just hand it to the next person and so on and so forth. And you do 4 rounds in a 4-player game, so each person gets a chance to be the first player. So basically what you do is you end up placing dice on these things, like so. And then, I'm not going to place them all, I'm not going to go through the whole process. But after everybody has placed their die, you don't have to place all 6 of your dice, because you can save some for your the escaping bandits. You then will roll the dice to see if you can qualify the condition that is needed to capture that bandit. Now that's, if you're just the only person on that spot, say like I had 3 dice on here and I need to roll a 10 or higher, I'd roll these 3 dice, and I got a total of 12. So I would capture this bandit, and so I get fit, and I just put this below my guys down here or off to the side to show that I've captured that, and then it's worth $50. And I don't have to worry about them escaping because I've captured this particular outlaw. Now, if I had these dice on there, and another person had dice on there like so, and we both rolled the dice. Let me just see. Let me change it so it actually can happen. So like we both rolled higher, or both satisfied the result that's needed to capture that particular bandit. You then have to go through the process of a showdown. And when you do a showdown, what you do is both players are going to roll the dice that they use for that particular spot, and whoever rolls the highest is going to actually then capture that particular bandit. Now, there is one other wrinkle on it, however. Every bandit on the bottom of their card has these little boxes, these little cubes down here. Okay, so some of them have like 3, and some of them have 2, and I'll just draw one out of here in random, and so you can see that some of them will even, have 1, so to speak. And so when you have that, the bandit actually gets to, during a showdown, because you and the other person are so focused on each other, like trying to have a shootout between you and the other person, that the bandit actually has a chance to escape as well. So in this case, if we had 3 dice, so we'd re-roll those dice, so then an 11 and an 8, and then we'll just roll 3 dice for the bandit and see what happens here. And the bandit actually gets a 16, and so the bandit would then actually qualify to escape. So that works perfectly. So I'll show you how this works. So let's just say that these particular bandits were captured, and they are in the respective fields. But this one didn't get any dice put on them. So if there's ever a bandit that doesn't have any dice, they're supposed to be moved sideways to show they're escaping. And since this one escaped as well, we'll move that one to the side as well to show that one is escaping as well. And we move directly into the escape phase. So if you have any dice left over, you are allowed to use 1 or more dice to stop an escaping outlaw. And this is the only ones that are saved, or if you're lucky like us and we have this card that gives us an extra die during the escape phase, we can use that as well. And so then what'll happen is that each person will just roll dice to see if they capture the one that is escaping. And if you're the only person that attempts to escape it, say I'm the only person, you just roll 1 die and you win. But the whole thing is that you're most likely going to have multiple people have saved the dice to have that attempt. And so everybody, if everybody had a die for this particular outlaw they wanted to use to try to capture him, you roll all 3 and you'd see who won. So we got 2 5s and 2 6s. These 2 people would roll again. And then we have a 6 and a 5, so red would capture that particular outlaw and get that, and so when they escaped. If nobody puts any die or nobody even tries to capture somebody, then they just get away and they're and score points. The big difference is that if you do actually capture an outlaw that has escaped, you get a $10 reward, regardless to the amount that they're worth. So in this case, this bandit was worth $50, but they were worth 60. So, and to show that, you put them face down in your pile as well, so you remember to add that $10. So once that escape phase is completed and all of them have been taken care of, you then hand the first player marker to the person on the left. You get rid of this one, and then you turn over the next card. And we see that this particular bandit group, the Deadly Desperados, has 7 members. You'll take the 7 people, and you'll go through the whole process again, recruiting a member to the posse, and turning the cards over, and then putting your dice down and rolling them again to collect try to attempt to collect more of these outlaws. In a 4-player game, you will play 4 turns. Because you're going to use 4 warrant cards. In a 2-player game, you'll also play 4 turns because you use 4 warrant cards, and in a 3-player game, you'll use 6 warrant cards. And so it lasts a little bit longer, but they do it with 6 because they want to make sure that everybody gets to be the first player the same amount of times, because being the first player is actually a very powerful ability with drawing the 2 posse cards instead of 1. So there you go. That should tell you a really good idea of how to play the game Posse, Wild West Justice. So let me tell you what I really dig about this dice, but kind of weirdly Euro-y resource collecting type of game as well. There's lots of games out there that allow you to roll dice and then affect what the dice do and things like that, which I really enjoy. So let me talk more about that, and here are my conclusions. Alright, thank you very much for taking time to watch that. There are, as I mentioned, lots of things I really like about this game. First of all, I dig the fact that we're finally really getting Wild West games. For the longest time when I was in this hobby, up until about 2-3 years ago, there really weren't a lot of, Wild West themed games. So one of the things that kind of bothered me was it always was this genre that seemed to be untapped, if you will, but slowly but surely and not just game. I mean, we have Euro games, we have strategic games, we have miniatures games, we have just Ameritrash games, or thematic games, if you will. And so we're getting all spectrums, and I think that's really awesome. And I really and the Wild West is just a fun theme, and it is a fun basis in which to create a game within. And this game, like I said when I was talking about how the game is played, it reminds me of a lot of other games that I played that you're rolling dice to collect cards or collect resources, and then there's certain things you can do to affect the dice and affect your luck, if you will. And I think that's the key of the game is that if you were just rolling the dice and you just had no shot and you just had poor dice rolls, the game wouldn't really be a game. It would just be kind of an activity. And there's too many games out there like that where you just roll the dice and see what happens. But this game, you actually have the ability to have these different cards, these different posse cards, and the actual effects that the bandits have as well, that you have to plan for and you have to work with and work against to actually make things work. And it is actually kind of a thinky dice game, if you will. And I like that about my dice. I love dice. I love dice in games. And usually if somebody says, oh, I got this game, and I say, does it have dice? And they say yes. Okay, bring it out. Let's play it. And because I just like the randomness aspect. I like trying to hedge my bets, if you will, when it comes to a dice game. Now that being said, there is this really cool feature in the game. If it was just put the cards out and then just put the dice and see what you get, even with the added component of your posse members affecting the dice rolls and things like that, there still would be something I think missing. But the whole process of the showdowns and placing your dice in the same spot as other people, either to block them on purpose or to give them the idea that you think they're going for that particular spot, or just do I hold dice back and try to claim ones that are escaping. And there's this wonderful moment I've had several times when I play this game where you have to make that decision of yes, it does seem easier to just go after the ones that are escaping, but at that point, everybody, if everybody does that, you really there's nothing you can do to stop somebody from just having better luck than you and rolling better dice. Yes, there are certain cards that are going to affect your showdown levels, but the thing is, not the showdown levels, but there are cards that will affect the dice that you roll for escapes and things like that. But those are few and far between, and most of the you just you don't really want to run the risk of just having to roll 1d6 and like having that determine whether or not you get that particular bandit as well. I would much rather, place my dice on there and then, get, like, roll over 10 on 3 dice and just get to claim it. Yeah, I'm sure I'm giving up the possibility of $10, but, I'm able to grab that and put that in my deck, and you can't take that from me then. I've got that money. And so there's a wonderful moment there of decision, especially during that whole process of placing the dice back. And I really like also the aspect of turning the card over and like, ooh, it's 8 bandits. And then like you sit there and you deal them out. And you're always kind of excited and picking up those cards and reading them and so on and so forth. So all those things going on, it just makes the game a lot of fun. It makes the game highly interactive. And it is a game where, it's like I don't just, like I said this in many reviews, but I'm not just tending a garden here. I'm actually directly competing with the people at the table, and every point that I take is I'm taking a point from them. It isn't like I'm just taking something and they can grab something likewise. It's like I'm taking that bandit from you because of the fact that you're not going to have an aspect. You're not going to have a chance to get that later. You're not going to be able to get it during the escape phase if I take it during the target phase and things like that. So for all those reasons and just the excitement and the fun and everything that I've had with this game, I highly recommend it. It is super cheap. It's like $16. It's like next to nothing. It's a deck of cards and some dice. But it is a heck of a lot of fun and a small little package, and I think you're really going to enjoy it if you like dice games, and especially if you're a fan of the Wild West theme. So, alright, thank you very much for taking time to watch this video for Posse Wild West, and if you have any questions about the game, please ask me. I'd be happy to answer those, and as always, I greatly appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and until next time, you have yourself one heck of an awesome day. Alright, bye-bye.